Welcome back to our final session here at The Point. My name is Anthony. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Women's matters are wide and broad, and we are trying to put them in a nutshell and get to some of the solutions that could be addressing the challenges women are facing at the workplace. Mrs. Mori, we start with you. We have a challenge, first of all, of sexual harassment. Sexual harassment has been defined broadly by the Ministry of Gender and Labour and Social Development as any sexual advances or any other form of action or even words or language that actually draws women to the sexual advances and sexual actions. What do you think can be done in this effort? Because much as there's been a lot of media and reports coming in from people like activists, they are trying to push for against sexual harassment, but it's still a reality. At workplaces, women are sexually harassed. And men will come out and say we are also sexually harassed, but that's not a point. Honestly, it's not about who is getting more of the bad day, right? But it's about really who is affected most, who is more vulnerable. Women have been, dragged into sexual activity for jobs, for promotions, for marks at Makerere University. There are so many cases of young women who have faced so many of those challenges, and just a few have come out. But there's so many that we don't know of. So how can women in business, how can women in the employment world get to brace themselves for this?
Thank you, Anthony. Sexual harassment. Wow, this is a serious fight. It's a serious fight on it. And what I've witnessed in the different, with the different people that I've worked with, I think I'll share from what is on the ground. I'll give an example in the market community. Most people don't know it's sexual harassment. Because it also, you look at the different categories of people you're engaging with, they don't know. And even those who are doing it, they don't know it is sexual harassment. Do you understand? For you coming and you're telling me a man to touch on my bum, it is sexual harassment. But for me, I'm feeling nice. That, I think my body is nice. You understand? That we have two people who don't, this category, they don't understand. The man doesn't know it's sexual harassment. For him, he feels, I'm playing around with this woman. Maybe I like her. Because for them, they feel like, maybe the man likes me. That's why it's happening. Then you come to this other area whereby, for me, I know, if you touch me, that is sexual harassment. You shouldn't be touching me. But again, you might be innocent. For you don't know it is. So are we sensitizing people about sexual harassment, what it is? For me, I might be benefiting. When they touch me, they pay me. Because there is an experience from these women in the market. One of them said, but for me, especially these ones who serve food, said, for me, when I serve food and I go to pick money, these people say, let me touch your bum before I pay you. And if I don't, they will not pay me. And then my boss will not also pay me. So sometimes I don't like it, but I just do it because for the sake of being paid. So you see that there is a lot of work that we have to do around sensitizing people in regards to sexual harassment. And I don't know, women are vulnerable for sure. But it also takes us back to ask ourselves, what makes us so vulnerable to, to go in for sexual advances for us to get jobs? This takes us back to the initial discussions that we have been having, saying, we have to ensure that our women are empowered economically, changing the mindset that they can make it. They are valuable. You don't have to use me to give me a job. Do you see? But it comes from them saying, I don't think I'm worthy. So can we raise people's self-esteem to that level to say, man, I can always find my way out. So the level of vulnerability, I think, is also varies, but also the leadership in some of these spaces, they're also not playing their part. That some leaders, they contribute, because some of them are the ones who are even harassing these people. So the leaders, we need to get around the leaders because they are part of the problem. So I feel that needs to be sorted. You zeroed so much on sexual harassment as the major problem, but there are so many issues that I'm looking at. That women, the way we have been nurtured, the way we have been saying, like my colleague was saying, fear to speak out. That fear alone, because there are those who have been raped, but they had to keep quiet. Because how would they see me? What will the society say? They will say it is me who seduced the man, even when it is the man who brought the issue. So the way we are being, talked about, but also start opening up to talk about some of these issues. Like I said, it starts with the parents. Talk about these issues in your home. About sexual harassment. Call a spade a spade. Otherwise, if you don't, either your child will be a culprit of this, or even you yourself, you might be.
Now, we also have homosexuality.
Yes, the world is changing. So can we talk about these things with our children before they even get out there?
Our culture is so much in that we don't talk about these things. We think, because this is how we grew up, we think, no, it's evil, don't talk about it, and we keep it away, and we let the teacher probably unveil. Because I can be very honest, I think I learned about everything about sexual education in primary 7. That's the first time I actually go to this is really what happens, right? But by that time, trust me, so many other people had lots of other information.
Can you imagine?
And they had no idea how to put it together.
That is, call a spade a spade. Because actually that's what I said. My children, I say it as it is. Because I don't want someone else to come and speak to my child and tell them, about sex and what I'm saying it as it is. I don't want to leave room. So let us say things the way they are. And maybe to call also government to really come in and also enforce these policies they are putting across. Let them be synced with all the systems that we have. Because it's happening everywhere. So let us try to ensure that we put this together.
Mrs. Peace, on your submission, what you think women can do to overcome some of the challenges that they face in the workplaces that are special for women, especially sexual harassment and the divide that exists between them and the men.
I think I'll talk about sexual harassment last. I'll talk about the other things first. Usually unfair pay. A lot of times when they're employing a woman, even sometimes HR will tell you, the problem with you is that you get pregnant, then you take maternity leave, and all of that. I once got a job where I was 3 months pregnant on the day that I reported. Fortunately, I had a very good employer who let me work, and I took my maternity leave, came back, and I didn't lose anything. They actually made me take the trainings I missed while I was on maternity leave. They even offered me training out of the country. But I'm the fortunate few. The rest of the women, my colleagues, either are forced to come back early, like 1 month from maternity leave, so they make sure they don't lose their place, which is unfair. Or the bargaining chip is harder for you because you're going to lose days, your kid will get sick or something. And employers have no, I would say, they don't hold back when they're having these conversations. They'll tell you, your kid will get sick, you'll get pregnant. That's why we don't want to employ young girls because you'll get married, then time off, then your husband, then your kids. So then you think about it and you're like, okay, if you're going to discourage the girls from working, who is in charge of population control? How are we going to ensure that we have people in the future if you're discouraging us from having children? Because it's a part of life, it has to happen. So there has to be ways in place that encourage women to work and also take care of their families. A lot of the international employers have embraced this, maternity leave, paternity leave, all of that, which are structures which support families in taking care of their children. But local employers and private employers don't have that. What they don't realize is a lot of times you buy loyalty by giving incentives like this. If somebody knows that I have job security when I go for maternity leave, they'll come back more hardworking. If somebody knows that my medical doesn't cover just me, it covers my children, I will fight to make sure I have that job. So those are things which employers need to look at when they are employing women. And of course, worldwide, they say women are more loyal, what. Yes, there will be a few, but in positions of accounting, money, apparently we have less problems, or we fear more. So there will be like less fraud and all of that. I mean, 70% of the fraud cases are male. I'm not even like discriminating when I say this. So employers should really look at providing a conducive environment that it promotes equality. You know, she should have a voice in the boardroom despite the fact that she's pregnant. And guys at workplace have this thing of laughing at pregnant women. HR should be really doing something about that. I've been pregnant in the workplace. I know the jokes that go around. It's really unfair. So there should be, you know, systems in place that talk about such, especially for, you know, to protect girls and women. And it's also part of sexual harassment. You know, making fun of people because of the situation they are in and things like that. Yet it's an important part of life. It has to happen. Reproduction, you know, giving birth, all that has to happen. So that's really an unfair pay, unfair treatment. I've encountered that in my workplace, a different workplace. I won't mention which one, but a lot of times, because I'm in a field where we are the minority, women engineers, women in tech, you're always very few. Now there are so many, but at the time when I started 10 years ago, we were very few. So, you know, you're trying to show up in the workplace as a professional, you're competing against your male colleagues, but people are assuming because maybe you're small and you're a woman, yes, you may not be able to carry the heavy, you know, the printer, but intellectually you may be more intelligent than this gentleman that they're calling. I remember one day I went to fix somebody's computer and he said, you know what, you look delicate, I don't think you'll fix it. But I was the only one going to do it. So I had to wait for him to leave work in the evening, sneak into his office and fix his computer and printer. Wow. The next day, of course, when they told him who, he was like a bit ashamed. But, you know, that stayed with me. And I was like, okay, at least I had the opportunity to prove myself. How many other girls are there without that chance and getting fired for non-performance because they don't have a chance to, you know, sneak in and prove themselves, or, you know, get a chance to present in the office because the boss is not giving her a chance. So workplaces also have to be inclusive. That is why inclusivity is a very big deal in the UN. They do it a lot. It's called diversity, equity, and inclusion. Making sure not only do we have equal opportunities, but there are efforts that are intentional about giving people a voice, giving women a voice in the workplace. Because it's not just about saying, oh, you guys, you can both apply for this position, but are you intentionally including the women? Are you encouraging them to actually apply? And keeping in mind the other factors that may be stopping them from applying. Maybe I won't apply for a promotion because I think it will involve work over the weekend. But you know, I'm very productive, 9 to 5. I may be productive, so I don't need to come in over the weekend. Or maybe I can actually come over the weekend. Has anybody asked me? So there's also, you know, things which workplaces need to keep in mind. You know, me, I speak from an entrepreneurial point of view, but I've also been an employee for the last 17 years. Yeah, I started working when I was still at the university. So because of that, I know that the challenges that exist in the workplace and a little bit of pointers in how they can be, you know, overcome. A lot of us suffered during COVID because we had to work from home, and you're the woman, you're the caregiver, you have to look after the children, you still have to look after the home. Yeah, a lot of workplaces were accommodative, so your kids could walk into the video calls and they didn't judge you for it. But you know, in other workplaces it was almost punishable, the fact that your kids even show up. But you see, the children are part of me. I'm in their space. I'm now choosing to work in the space which is their home. Is my workplace understanding that? Because we're in a lockdown, it's an international crisis. So there has to be mechanisms that also support women to work, because people dropped off work because they couldn't balance work.
How do you do it? Because I know the kind of work you're doing, sometimes you have to travel and you have your kids, you have to take them to school. How do you balance your career and family affairs?
Yeah, I'm thankful to have family support. Yeah, my parents and my siblings have been very intentional in the way that they love me and the way we love each other. Again, I would say it's parenting. You know, the bond that a parent creates with their child is the bond that the child will have with their siblings. You know, my siblings' spouses like joking that the moment we are together, we're going to take pictures, we're going to be hugging each other, we're going to be so close. But you know, that's something that our parents have nurtured in us. We are very close, we love each other, we love on each other. And that means my child is their child is my child. If Peace needs to travel, she's going to drop her child to Faith this woman. That child will be loved as if she's with her mother. So because of that, and also my parents are also intentional. You know, for a long time my child did not have a father figure, but my father, he's always stepped in. Yeah. So we never had that gap. You know, even my siblings' spouses. So because of that, I understand that I'm lucky, but I'm also intentional. You know, relationships are two-sided. What are you doing to ensure that these people support you? Are you supporting them? You know, so that they reciprocate. It's not hard to love me if I'm loving you. So if you need people's support, be there for them. And that also applies to friendships. My friends are also very intentional in being there for me. So the people that you choose to be around you should have also the same goals. So that you know that if you leave your children with them, if you leave your company with them, my co-founder is also very supportive. We support each other. Like if she needs to leave her child with me, she will leave her with me. If I need to travel, I know that she will visit my kids at school. So to get, you have to be also a giver. You cannot keep thinking that people are going to support me, and you're not giving back. So you have to give. That's really, for me, that's like the most important thing.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Peace. Finally, Ms. Wagubi, as we wind up, one question that some people in the comments might have is, what are some of the new exciting developments or trends in the world of entrepreneurship that are currently in need of following, and why do you need to find them interesting at this moment, especially particularly for women? You can talk about women, especially in the informal sector, women in the businesses that are informal. We've seen them being tossed around on the streets of Kampala. They have nowhere to go. What opportunities can you support for them?
Thank you, Anthony. The opportunities are so many, but it all comes back to what the person is interested in and what they're willing to do. For example, I'll give an example for the women in the informal sector. Food is a big thing, and there is food processing that Ugandans were missing out. And we now have the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is allowing us, it has opened the borders of other countries in Africa to allow trading across. And in Uganda, we are blessed to have food. Really, Uganda is blessed to have food. That we can now go into food processing and we try to export this food to other countries. So for me, I see that as an opportunity, value addition on those products, that which comes with food processing. So it is really very good for the people. But also, I would call upon all women to take away the fear, because we are used to being in our safe corners, our little small businesses that we know, this one will move, I don't need stress. But can we go for things that traditionally have been known for men? And that is like construction. We can pull our money. Like my colleague said, in our small saving groups, we pull the money and we start a construction company. It can make for us money. We go for real estate. Why not? We can do it. And for me, the call I would make to every woman is that, can we pull ourselves together? Can we support each other? And that is the only way we are going to grow. And we are very powerful, by the way. People should know that.
Absolutely.
We are very powerful. And we have the money, by the way. So it is only here, and we shall get there.
Absolutely. Miss, please, finally, as we wind up, your single message. We've talked so much to women, but what message can you give to the men? Because I've been here on the panel and I'm thinking, but what can we, because we are also important. I think in this drive to empower women, men also come at the center stage. What advice would you give to them? And then finally, as we wind up, you can tell us about Zimba Women and what's coming up.
Okay, thank you.
For Women's Day, yes.
Yeah, so this Women's Day, my message to the men would be like, do not fear. Do not. You know, a lot of men that I've talked to, they are in fear of the empowered woman. But think about the fact that this empowered woman is your child. So in blocking your wife or your sister or somebody else's empowerment, you're blocking your daughter. She's going to get into the world and she will not be able to adapt 30 years from now. So open the way so that the women of the future are able to flourish. But also prepare yourself for the women of the future. How? By not being a competitor, by looking at them as a partner, by looking at them as a friend. You know, she's not your competition, she's your friend, she's your support. The Bible tells us very clearly, you know, our role as men and women in this world, you know, It's not a fight. It's not a fight to prove who is in charge, who is not. We know who is in charge. Yeah. But be a supporter. That's why, for me, that he for she has been the most inspirational campaign I've ever heard of. Because we have men as champions of gender equality. When men are champions of gender equality, they accept that women, you'll find a male feminist. Feminist is equal opportunities. It's not like she's competing to take your place. However, if we are all working together, we're going to develop our country. We're going to have well-rounded children, the planned kids of the future. There will not be people wondering about their place in society if we are supportive of each other. So this women, provides the digital capacity for the woman to be able to also catch up with the opportunities that she's missed. So really, my message to men is support and encourage the woman. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We've had a very wonderful discussion. I want to also thank our dear viewers. I've seen Nazma Kasenene, Sophia Rukundo. I've seen a couple of other comments. We don't have, unfortunately, time to go through all of them, but thank you so much for sparing time and for watching. Mrs. Maureen, thank you so much for joining us today. Mrs. Peace, thank you so much. It was quite a wonderful session. The comments are really indicative of that. So on 8th of March, this is it. We are just starting. Smart 24 TV will be airing the events from the event there at the Karo Secondary School in Chiruhura District. And the theme for this year's Women's Day is Digital. That is digital innovation and technology for gender equality. I've been Anthony Sebali, and you remember to follow me on Twitter at Anthony Sebali, and also follow Smart 24 TV at Smart 24 TV. I'll catch you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.